A girl is reborn as the villain in the world of her favorite dating simulator. Determined to become the best villain, she finds that the worse she behaves, the more the protagonist falls in love with her. The main character introduces us to Alicia, the villain of her favorite video game, who is ridiculing a girl for being a commoner. Despite Alicia's cruelty, the protagonist always empathized with her, admiring her strength. Unlike the protagonist of the game, who cannot comprehend how a commoner was accepted into a magic academy for nobles, Alicia despises the girl's smile and her behavior around the prince, considering her a fake. All of Alicia's friends dream of being her in order to get close to him, but the protagonist would much rather be reborn as the villain. She wakes up as a young 7-year-old Alicia. She rushes to see herself in the mirror, remembering that she is the eldest daughter of the noble Williams family. She also recalls that her brothers are romantic interests in the game. Her dream has come true. She has been reborn as the villain, and is determined to be the best villain in history. Alicia runs through the grand mansion's halls, greeting her mother, who is discussing flowers with a maid. Both are surprised by her newfound attitude. Alicia thinks that if she wants to achieve her goals, she must become more disciplined. Looking out the window, she sees her brothers practicing fencing. She rushes down and asks her brother Albert to teach her how to use a sword, claiming she wants to become stronger. Albert is skeptical, and Henry agrees it's a lie. The third brother, Alan, also thinks she's hiding something. Nonetheless, Albert agrees to teach her, but first, she must build her strength. He asks her to do 50 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every day for a week. If she succeeds, he'll teach her whatever she wants. Alicia eagerly accepts. She decides to start training in the afternoon and use the mornings to learn magic, as magic exists in this world, and only nobles like her can wield it. There are various magical attributes: darkness, fire, light, wind, and water. Nobles who master these 5 attributes belong to the 5 great families that serve the king and are pillars of the kingdom. The Williams family are experts in the darkness attribute. Alicia searches the entire library for a magic book but finds none. She gives up and decides to read a book about plants instead, knowing one cannot live on magic alone. Alicia spends the day in the library learning about different magical and healing plants. That evening, she starts her exercises. After 50 push-ups, she needs a break. She realizes Alicia is very weak, but doesn't give up and begins her sit-ups. The next day, she completes her workout and notices that it's getting easier. After breakfast, she returns to the library to continue reading. Over the next 7 days, she increases her workout repetitions and reads an enormous number of books. Her progress is astonishing. At the dinner table, she thinks she can now do 300 push-ups and 500 sit-ups, confident her brother will have no excuses left. Her family looks at her strangely, and her father asks what's been going on since she's been waking up early. Albert asks what she does all day, considering she used to laze around her room. Alicia responds that she feels fine and that her activities are a secret. She finds this amusing, feeling mysterious like a real villain. Besides, she knows they wouldn't believe her if she told them she remembers her past life. The conversation shifts as Albert announces that his friend Paul will take him to see the Magic Academy. Their father is excited because his 12-year-old son will start his studies there in just 3 years. Upon hearing this, Alicia realizes she won't be able to train with the sword until Albert returns from school. She goes back to the library until 2 in the afternoon. Stepping into the garden, she meets the various romantic interests from the game's roots. There's Eric from the Hudson family, who masters fire magic, Finn from the Smith family, who wields light magic, Gale from the Evans family, who uses wind magic, and Curtis from the Kenwood family, who uses green magic but isn't part of any of the 5 great families. Finally, there's the king's son, Prince Duke Seeker, who uses water magic and is the main love interest of the game's protagonist. Alicia admits to herself that she likes him the most, but decides that love is a protagonist's domain. This is her moment to take her first step as the villain of the story. Albert introduces his little sister to his friends. They all find her very cute. Knowing that a villain must have manners, Alicia introduces herself politely. Everyone notices that she's not at all like Albert described. She's sweet and well-mannered. Duke pays no attention to her, asking Albert if he's going to show his sword skills. Albert agrees. Alicia asks if she can join, assuring them she's done her exercises every day as promised. As Albert and Alan prepare to start, Alicia feels annoyed that they aren't taking her seriously. In a burst of determination, she snatches Albert's sword, kicks a nearby tree, and slices an apple in half with agility as it falls. Seeing this, Albert realizes that his sister has indeed trained as he asked, so he agrees to let her join. Excited, Alicia rushes off to change while the prince observes the clean slice she made on the fruit in surprise. A year has passed since Alicia's rebirth, and Albert continues to train her, focusing solely on swordsmanship. He believes there's little sense in teaching her more if she can't handle wielding the sword for long. During this year, Prince Duke has been visiting regularly. One day, while taking a break from practice, he approaches Alicia for the first time and asks why she's practicing fencing. She's about to confess that she wants to be a villain, but quickly realizes her mistake. Instead, she says she wants to gain the strength to protect a village. The prince encourages her, saying he hopes she achieves that dream, and pats her gently on the head. Albert interrupts their moment, handing Duke a book and questioning why he visits so often, suggesting it's more than just a love for literature. Duke shrugs, admitting he honestly doesn't know. Meanwhile, in the castle, the 5 noble families meet with the king to discuss the dire situation in the town of Loana, which is experiencing extreme decline. They dismiss it as a den of criminals, deciding instead to focus on the Golden Rose, believing the kingdom needs a symbol of hope. As they drink tea, the father of the Smith family tells Alicia's father that his son, Finn, invited Alicia to their house. Alicia's father nods, aware of the invitation, and reminds the others to keep in mind that his daughter has been extremely well-mannered lately. They recall that she was once selfish, but a year ago, she changed and now spends all her time in the library. Alicia and her brothers arrive at the Smith's house, where Finn greets them. A servant informs Albert that the king will be visiting that day. In the living room, Alicia spots a map on the center table, recalling that at the end of the game, her character is exiled to a foreign country. She wonders if her game has already ended. The king enters the room, and Alicia, confused, limits herself to politely greeting him. The king mentions that he has heard much about her and wanted to speak with her. He asks what she thinks about the kingdom's current state. Alicia is puzzled by such a complex question directed at an 8-year-old girl. Assuming it's a test of villainy, she seizes the opportunity. She replies that while the kingdom is a great power, it is not a good one, as most of the wealth lies in the hands of the nobles. The proof, she argues, is the starvation in Loana and the growing discontent among the people. The king asks how she thinks they should boost the economy to prevent this crisis. As a cunning villain, she proposes leveraging the mines of neighboring Calvera. The king notes that the land belongs to the Laval government and questions if she thinks it wise to take it from them. Alicia replies that it wouldn't be wise. Instead, the best solution would be to fund their independence. This way, they could avoid conflict with Laval and establish trade with Calvera, who would owe them a debt of gratitude for their assistance. The king nods, grasping her proposal. Proud of her plan, Alicia realizes that exploiting others for personal gain is something the game's protagonist would never do. The king stands, expressing that it was a pleasure talking with her. Everyone bows as he takes his leave. Duke, curious, asks if she was nervous. She assures him she wasn't, all the while realizing how handsome he truly is. The king mentions to Smith that their conversation was very interesting, and Smith concurs, revealing they have discovered the Golden Rose. During tea, Alicia indulges in her favorite sweets, savoring them adorably. The prince watches her with a smile, a stark contrast to the cold demeanor he once held as the Ice Prince. Before departing, Duke presents Alicia with a belated birthday gift, a necklace adorned with a large diamond. He bids her goodbye, leaving her in awe of the exquisite present. She knows that diamonds in this world are even more precious than in her previous life. At the palace, the king and the noble families watch as the Golden Rose blooms and shines. The king is astonished, convinced that they've found what they've been searching for, and asks who the owner is. They inform him it belongs to a baker, who kept it because it bloomed when his daughter was born. This means his daughter is destined to rule and lead the kingdom to prosperity, much like the blue rose before it. The king agrees that his son, who made the blue rose bloom, along with the saint who brought forth the golden rose, will rule together to ensure the kingdom's future. However, he knows they must first endure dark and difficult times. Back at home, Alicia completes 1,000 squats, envisioning the day she meets the protagonist. When the protagonist asks her to give up the prince, she vows to refuse right to her face, embodying the true essence of a villain. If you've reached this point in the video, don't forget to leave the word exquisito in the comments. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.